to check. My God, he wondered, how could he ever manage without her? The show wasn't so good either, was it? He asked dryly. The William Tell was a dinner theater, and they'd just suffered through a dreary mystery comedy. Although Harry could hardly be accused of having made an effort to follow the proceedings, fearful of what was coming later, he'd spent the time trying to foresee and prepare for all eventualities, rehearsing responses, defenses, explanations. He'd have done better to watch the performance. The final irony was that there were season tickets in his pocket. "No," she said, "I didn't really care much for it." She didn't add anything that might have given him comfort, that she was distracted, that it was a difficult evening, that it was hard to keep her mind on anything so trivial while her marriage was disintegrating. Instead, she surprised him by reaching across the table to take his hand. His love for her was unique, the only truly compelling passion he had ever known, the single element that fueled his days, that gave purpose to everything he did. The passing years had not dimmed it, had in fact seeded it with the shared experience of almost a decade, had so entwined their lives that no emotional separation would be possible now or ever. Harry would not be able to leave her behind. He took off his glasses, folded them deliberately, and pushed them down into their plastic case. His vision was poor without them. It was an act she could not misinterpret. Bits and pieces of talk drifted from the next table, where two people, slightly drunk, whispered angrily at each other about money and relatives. Harry and Julie had never done anything like that. Relations between them had always been cordially correct, even when, at last, the knife had come out. A handsome young waiter, a college kid, probably, hovered in the background, his red sash insolently snug round a trim waist. His name was Frank. It was odd that Harry, who usually forgot incidental names immediately, should remember that, as though the detail were important. Frank arrived every few minutes, refilling their coffee cups, asking whether he could get anything else for them. Near the end, he inquired whether the meal had been satisfactory. It was hard now to remember when things had been different, before the laughter had ended and the silent invitations, which had once passed so easily between them, stopped. "I just don't think," she said abruptly, "we're a good match anymore. We always seem to be angry with each other. We don't talk." She looked squarely at him now. Harry stared back at her with an expression that he hoped suggested his sense of dignified outrage. "Did you know that Tommy wrote an essay about you and that idiot Comet last week? No? Harry," she continued, "I don't exactly know how to say this, but do you really believe that if anything happened to Tommy or to me, that it would have any real impact on you? That you'd even notice we were gone?" Her voice caught, and she pushed the plate away and stared down into her lap. "Please pay the bill, and let's get out of here." "It isn't true," he said, looking for Frank the waiter, not wanting to endure a scene in the restaurant. But Frank was preoccupied. Harry counted out some 20s, dropped them on the table, and stood up. Julie slowly pulled her jacket around her shoulders, and with Harry in her wake, strode between the tables and out the door. Tommy's Comet hung over the parking lot, splotchy in the September sky, its long tail splayed across a dozen constellations. Last time through, it might have been seen by Socrates. The databanks at Goddard were loaded with the details of its composition, the ratios of methane to cyanogen and mass to velocity, of orbital inclination and eccentricity. Nothing exciting that he had been able to see, but Harry was only a layman, not easily aroused by cold gas. Donner and the others, however, had greeted the incoming telemetry.